So, ladies and gentlemen, all my friends out there, all you guys, all you dolls, or my buddies as they say, I am going back to a time when I set sail with my green card for the United States. I was 22 and I had managed to get a green card so that I could work when I arrived. My main objective was to meet my lovely American grandmother, Mildred, Lady Camoys, who supplied us with every kind of goodie during World War II. But being very poor, I set off with perhaps two cases. This was one, my great-aunt Julia, Marquise d'Aupoul, and then another, even more rickety number. And out of Tilbury, I sailed on, I think it was a Cunard ship, Saxonia, which took 9 days to chop across to Halifax and thence to New York. I was very well treated, but perhaps not as well treated as my grandparents on their SS Levation, if that's properly pronounced, Tuesday, February 21st, 1928. There were 51 first-class passengers having a farewell dinner, which included the most delicious sole, and amongst these passengers were named the Right Hon. Lord Camoys and manservant, my naughty grandfather, and then my dear grandmother, Lady Mildred Camoys and her maid, the Honourable Sherman Stonor, my papa, who was about 15 at the time, the Honourable Nadine Stonor, a beloved aunt and her maid, and another aunt, the Honourable Noreen Stonor, and also her maid. They dined, of course, in elegant evening dress, not quite the same as Saxonia, but Saxonia was cheerful. So once I got to New York, my English grandfather met me, and as I was third class, he was embarrassed to see my suitcases being opened with a wrench. Thereafter, I arrived just in time for St. Patrick's Day, which in New York is quite unique and almost daunting. Then I was in Tiffany's as a sales assistant, which was a marvellous experience, and I met so many wonderful, extraordinary people behind the scenes. I visited Newport. I managed to meet my grandmother, I think, 3 times before she died rather suddenly in the Newport Hospital. Then I decided that I ought to be homesick. I'm not quite sure why, but I would do what other girlfriends of mine had done and come back round the world on various ships. So I set out from San Francisco. I went to stay with my relatives in Newport, Rhode Island, and in Providence, Rhode Island, and then in Jupiter Island, which is Palm Beach. And thereafter, from San Francisco, off I set as a third-class passenger in a cabin with 5 other ladies. We arrived in Suva, Fiji. Then off we went to, I think it was Auckland. But I managed to get wonderful invitations once I disembarked. And this found me eventually via Australia and Hong Kong and Singapore and Malaysia in Bombay docks, which was quite an alarming experience. I stayed with this enchanting Sindhi Indian merchant called the Advanis, and thereafter I went to the races with Parsi friends in Bombay, and I found myself invited by the King of Nepal long before he was murdered. King Virendra of Nepal had invited me. In fact, it was his father who invited me. His father and mother invited me, and they sent a plane for me to Old Delhi once I got there by train. And I was then taken up past the Annapurna range in the King's aeroplane with holes in the floorboards through which I could see the mountains. I think I bypassed the fact that I'd also been before that to Sri Lanka, Ceylon, one of the most beautiful countries in the whole wide world, where I had to pay 10 shillings to retrieve my suitcase. And so I'm going to take you today only up as far as Kathmandu, and I'm going to skip back and forth in my travel tattletales with you, because it was all completely fascinating. And next episode I'll tell you all about my mother's amazing telegrams to me, which caused great mirth and merriment on the lower decks of the various Cunard liners. And I think my whole journey cost £120, only to arrive back at Tilbury and to be told I was a damn nuisance. But there you are, for the next instalment. Love you and leave you.